Here we are 7 months later, and the rest of the Air Force, the rest of the country has forgotten that people's lives are still in shambles. I'm Colonel Greg Kane, the commander of the 101st Air and Space Operations Group here at Tyndall Air Force Base, Florida. Our mission is to support the 601 Air Operations Center in support of U.S. NORTHCOM and NORAD missions. The storm happened very quickly. We had a very compressed timeline. Essentially, the storm went from a Cat 1 to a Cat 4 and later upgraded to a Cat 5 in less than 24 hours. Once I got in place at the State Emergency Operations Center, we did a check to make sure that we had all our people in the right place to carry on the mission, and then we made sure that we gave correct guidance to ensure that our folks evacuated with their families and had everything they need to be taken care of for the next couple of days. My immediate concern was to get back into town, check on the status of my wife and children. So I did that immediately the next day. I got into town and put eyes on them, knew they were okay. We had to clear out some trees out of the driveway so that we can pack them up. So my priority was to pack them up and get them out of the house and get them on their way to someplace safe. We did that in about 48 hours, and they were on the road and outside of Panama City. During that time, though, I found a means to communicate with Colonel Valle, the other commander, and communicate with the 1st Air Force leadership as well as the Florida Air National Guard leadership. And I was nonstop, pretty much from the time the storm hit on the phone. And our primary concern was making sure we had all accountability of all our airmen. We took about 72 hours to do that because we had a lot of airmen that were still inside Bay County, and we had to go house to house to check on those folks. We came up with some other alternative means to communicate also via social media, which worked out pretty well. But once we got full accountability of all our airmen and we knew that everyone was safe and no one was injured, then it was 100% focus on getting our airmen who went to the alternate duty location, getting them back with their families to take care of their personal needs. So we never stopped. It was always our airmen from the get-go. Once we realized that everyone was safe, the next is getting an assessment of what your people are capable of. And we kind of categorized all our folks in 3 categories: red, yellow, or green. Meaning red, meaning that you have so much damage to your house or something in your family where you have exceptional family members, special needs family members, that you need to be with that person in what we call the safe haven location. In this case, we had families staying in their safe haven locations all the way up till February of 2019. People who were yellow, who said, hey, I just have a couple things at my house I need to take care of, or I need to do X, Y, and Z, give me 72 hours or 96 hours. And then we had people who we categorized as green, meaning that, yeah, they are ready to work and they're ready to go now. At Michael plus 100, so 100 days after Hurricane Michael, so about 25% of our force was displaced, and displaced meant that they had over an hour commute. So commutes are doubled or even tripled in some cases because of the distance that they have to live outside of town to find housing, or they're living in campers in their driveways. Inside Bay County, there was a lot of uncertainty. Plus, there were a lot of dangers that people weren't aware of. There's a lot of debris, there's still down power lines, there's trees that can fall. People's homes really weren't safe. So we wanted to make sure that was well communicated, and part of that is being engaged as commanders and as leaders. What Colonel Valle and I told everybody was, take care of your families, take care of your neighbors, take care of your friends, take care of your communities, and then take care of the mission. If you take care of the people, then the people will take care of the mission, and that's what we focused on. We had work teams that our first sergeant put together, and eventually we worked with 1st Air Force, and we had work teams that went out to airmen's homes, and they helped different airmen with whether it be putting up tarps, cutting down trees, or moving people out of their homes and loading U-Haul trailers is where we spent the bulk of our time the couple weeks right after Hurricane Michael. So the first part was identifying what we needed to do, our mission, and then making that known to our senior leaders throughout the AOC. Once they knew what their part was, then they knew that they identified airmen who can do that. We got a lot of help from the Eastern Air Defense Sector and the Western Air Defense Sector, the two sectors that are manned by the Washington Air National Guard and the New York Air National Guard. They're specifically trained in our ROE and certified in our mission set, so they were a good fit to just roll right in and do our mission. And that's the important part that I would tell anybody is in a natural disaster is you're going to be able to do your mission to a certain extent, but you're going to need help from outside. So identify the areas that you're going to need help in, and don't be afraid to take that help. So we said focus on the good because we had, I would say, 98% of our folks who were doing good. And it was maybe that 2% that weren't necessarily all in like everybody else. So we told folks, focus on the good because look what everyone's doing. I mean, everyone's finding a way to be actively employed. Either they're up there at the alternate location, they're taking care of business, they're here in the AOC compound helping out with our contractors, or just overall cleanup to be prepared to bring our mission back home. Or we had people working at FEMA distribution centers, we had people working at the county EOC, and then we had our work detail teams going out every day. So focus on the good, and then those that did wrong, it'll eventually catch up and you'll eventually address it. Some folks had zero comm, none whatsoever. We had a single touch point every day. We had a command conference that we did at 1900 every evening, and the reason why we did that was because there was a curfew in effect at 1800. And what that allowed us to do is to not get into people's business. We would give guidance of what they need to be doing in the evening. If there was any follow-ups, they had a full 24 hours to figure it out. We trusted that everyone was doing what they were supposed to. One thing you're going to learn as you go throughout your career, there's this insatiable desire or unquenchable thirst for information from senior leaders. And really what it had to do with just managing expectations. Saying, sir, I can't get you that answer in an hour. It's going to be 24 hours before I can get you that answer. Here we are, 7 months later. The Tyndall Command Post is in our facilities. The Child Development Center is in our gym. We converted half our gym into to the child development care, and we have I think 40 children back there. And we also had a plan to bring the Tyndall RapCon into our facility also. So we're part of the Team Tyndall, and we're here to help out. We didn't miss a beat. It was like nothing had ever happened to us with regard to how we responded to our mission and to our taskings and our responsibilities. The whole DoD machine doesn't stop. Tyndall's a viable base. Although we took a pretty good hit, we're running mission out of here. It makes you very proud of all our people because you see that everyone's given more than 100%. And you feel bad for people too because you know what they're going through. And it seemed about 2 to 3 weeks after the storm where we weren't making headlines anymore, the rest of the country forgot about what happened here, about Hurricane Michael.